Hello and welcome to my porch. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel typically sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today I'm on the porch and I'm trying out a new microphone, so I may or may not have to re-record this, depending on how well this microphone works. But I figured rather than having the one strapped to me, I would try one attached to the camera. I don't know what they call it. I'm not that savvy. But today is Tag Tuesday, and I have not been tagged by anyone because I'm the one creating the questions this week. This week and next week, I will be creating the questions. Now this week, I've come up with a question potpourri, an assortment of questions. There's no real theme to them, but there is a bonus question if you go to watch Sandy and Jimmy on Let's Get Fit with Sandy. You know that Jimmy gave me a question of my own last week. Well, I'm doing the same for him this week. And since he did answer the question he gave me, I will also answer the question I gave him, but because I don't want anyone to know the question until they've seen his, I'm not going to answer until later, and I will do like a little mini upload just answering that question. Anyway, let us get on with it. Okay, now see, I get to print them out this week rather than having them on my phone because I came up with them. Alright, so number one, what is your cell phone wallpaper? And mine is a picture of my niece and her family. I don't know if you can see that, but that is my wallpaper. Paul is my lock screen, so don't come at me saying, well, why isn't Paul your wallpaper? Paul is my lock screen. I don't usually lock my phone, so I don't actually see it that often. But it's an old picture of Paul, and if he's not, and I played around with it on Canva, doctored it up, and if he's not opposed to it, because he doesn't like to be on camera, but because it's an old picture, he might be okay. If he's okay with it, I will insert a picture of that here as well, so that you can see that. Number two, what's the weirdest dream you remember having? The weirdest dream I remember is from when I was like 15. And I think one of the weirdest parts, actually, it's almost like a double feature in a way. I'll explain in a second. I had both of these dreams at about the same time. The main dream that I remember was I was rushing home to my mother and sister. For some reason, I wasn't concerned about my brothers, but I was rushing home to my mother and sisters because I had to tell them something important. And just as I got to the house, I saw mobs of people on either end of the street coming towards me. Only they weren't people exactly, they were vampires. And then I remembered what I had to tell them, so I ran into the house, locked the door, and I was looking all over for them, trying to tell them that there were vampires. And I couldn't find them anywhere, so I ran upstairs and I'm looking and I can hear the vampires breaking through the doors and the windows downstairs, and I can't find my mother or sister anywhere. I'm in the house all by myself. So I run into the bathroom and I close the door as I hear the vampires coming up the stairs. And I figure I will climb out and get up onto the roof maybe. And I pull aside the curtain in the bathroom and there's a vampire staring me in the face. And that's when I wake up. There's one that's very similar, and I don't know what was going on at the time that I felt I needed to protect my mother and sister. But it was one where it was something about aliens. We were in a barn hiding from aliens, and there was some sort of a wood, almost like a wooden dance floor, like they may have had a barn dance kind of thing or something. And the rest was dirt. And so a bunch of people were there huddled up trying to protect them or stay quiet for the aliens not to find us. And I remember, I don't know what suddenly made me think of it, but I thought there was a danger if you were on the floor. So I was trying to get everybody onto this wooden panel, this section of wood floor, because that would protect us. And it was my mother and sister that I was trying to get to come onto the wood panel, wood floor. And I got on there and I was pulling them on, and suddenly like electricity went through the ground, and that wooden flooring was the only thing that protected us from not being electrocuted by whatever the aliens had done. End of that dream. But it was weird. Those two were about the same time, and there seemed to be something going on. I don't know. Teenagers. Number 3, would you rather be able to see the future but not be able to change it, or hear from the dead but not be able to speak to them? Of those two, I think as much as I'd like to know what's coming up, especially like, say if I were on my deathbed, maybe I'd want to see the future and just see how things were going to turn out. But I think of the two, I prefer to hear from the dead even if I couldn't speak to them, because I'm sure there were things that they would say that, or even just knowing they were there, would be of some comfort. So I think I would go with hearing from the dead, even though I couldn't speak to them. Number 4, choose just one and why. Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas? Mine would have to be Halloween. My favorite holiday. I always wished my birthday were on Halloween. And if you could combine all 3 of them, where you could dress up, eat a lot of food, and get presents, that would be the best. But of the 3, if I had to do without any of the other ones, I'd go for Halloween, even though I can't dress up anymore because I can't really do the makeup like I used to and things like that. If I can find some Halloween pictures, I'll insert them here. To let you see some of the outfits. Some of them I'm sure I don't have in the computer, but I loved Halloween. I loved coming up with the costumes, making myself up, and I wish my hands were steady enough to still do as intricate of things as I used to, but it is what it is. Still choose Halloween. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be and why? Mine would probably have to be writing. That's the one thing I've always wanted to do since I was little. And I mean, I can write well, but I just don't have enough confidence in it, perhaps, to really push myself with it. So I think if I felt I were a master of that skill, I think I might feel more comfortable putting myself out there. But if it wasn't writing, then it would be cake decorating. Because as I've shown before, I loved cake decorating. It's another thing I can't really do anymore because of my muscle issues and nerve issues. But that would be the second choice, but writing would be number one. What is your most petty deal breaker? Some small thing that would make you break up with someone. For me, I mean, even just going out with someone, I could see someone who was very attractive, but if they smoked, immediately no. No, I can't do it. I don't want the smell of my clothes. I don't want to kiss someone with that on their breath. Smoking would be my number one deal breaker. It's not a good habit. And if anyone out there smokes, I'm sorry if I've offended you, but that's one thing I just could not put up with. 7. What famous person have you been told you look like? Well, it depends on when it was, but I've been told Harvey Fierstein, and I'll insert pictures here so you can see who I'm talking about. Adam, I forget what I'm pretty sure his first name's Adam, from America's Test Kitchen, who does the equipment testing. Been told I look like him. At times, Billy Bob Thornton has come up. And that's been, I think, partly looks, but also mannerisms and personality kind of thing. But those would be the three that I've heard most often, and I will leave pictures of those as I spoke. Hopefully I did that. Anyway, 8. What's the best advice you ever received and the best advice you ever gave? I think the best advice I ever received was from my mother, because I would always, whenever I would talk about myself wanting to write, I'd always say I'm an aspiring writer, and she'd always tell me, no, take aspiring out of there. You've written, you're a writer. You're not published maybe, but you are a writer. So don't qualify things by saying aspiring or things like that. Or even Paul, in my intro, when I say I'm an amateur baker, he's like, stop saying you're an amateur baker, you're a baker. And I'm like, but I'm not a professional baker, and that's the distinction I'm trying to make there. But I think her saying, you know, stop qualifying things, you're a writer because you've written, I think that was one of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten, in that stop qualifying everything, diminishing it, I guess basically is what I was doing. Trying to say, oh, you know, I'm a writer, but not really a writer. So her advice was to stop qualifying things and just say, this is what I am. Best advice I ever gave, honestly, I think it's from this channel. Because as I was starting to develop this channel and thinking about what I was going to be doing, and how I managed this time to make it work when I've tried many, many, many times is by saying that this is your journey and you have to make the diet fit you. Don't try to fit yourself into a diet. And by that I mean, you know what your eating habits are. Like for me, I've mentioned this before. I'm a nighttime snacker. So rather than trying to eliminate that, because that's diet friendly by not snacking, what I did was I just ate lower bite, lower point foods earlier in the day and made room for the snacking later that I knew I would want. And if I didn't do it, if I denied myself, I would have gone off the rails. I'm sure I would have. So I think that's the best advice I've ever given, is to make this work by fitting it into how you eat and not trying to change how you eat to fit in with the diet. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, and I went wrong that way many, many times, trying to deny myself things, deny what I knew I would do, because that's not diet friendly. No. You do not fit into the diet. Don't change yourself to try to fit into the diet, because once you reach your goal and go back to what you were doing initially, what you've always wanted to do, you're gonna fall off the wagon, most likely. Not 100% of the time, but most likely. It's just like my friend D, Dish with D, has said she doesn't exercise because she hates to exercise, and she didn't want to lose weight through exercise, then reach her goal, stop exercising because she doesn't like it, and then gain that weight back. I'm the same way. I didn't exercise at all to lose the weight. It wasn't until I actually took the weight off that I actually tried doing some exercise, just to help with my muscles, more than actual weight loss. But yeah, don't fit yourself into a diet. Fit the diet into the way you eat. Best advice I think I can give. Number 9, have you ever named your vehicles? I have, but I've always given them the same name. It's always Hadley, which comes from a name of a town that I created, in my head at least so far, for a series of horror stories that would all take place in Hadley, Connecticut. And so that's why I always name my vehicles Hadley. And last one, number 10. If you could commit a crime and get away with it, what would it be and why? I think it would probably be to rob a bank, or some big money theft. Not just for myself, although to make my life a little easier financially would be nice, but also to be able to spread that wealth, kind of like a Robin Hood kind of thing, to help out my family, to help out other people. So if I could commit a crime and get away with it, it'd be some big money heist, something like that. And not, like I said, not just for me, but to spread that wealth. And that does it, except for Jimmy's question, which I'm not going to answer just yet. I will wait until he's given his answer and then throw up a little quick response of my own. So I hope you enjoyed this Tag Tuesday that I am responsible for, so I hope you liked it. I will also be doing the questions for next week, and those are going to be, as much as Kim from A Girl and Her Phone hates it, kind of nostalgic questions about when we were younger. So should be fun trying to see Kim remember any of the answers to those questions. But I'm not tagging Kim. I'm leaving that to Sandy and Jimmy, who usually do it. But that is who I'm tagging, is Sandy and Jimmy, obviously, from Let's Get Fit with Sandy, because Jimmy has to answer that bonus question. And I'm also tagging my usual Mr. and Mrs. Chaos, Jenn and Steve, over Embracing Chaos with Jenn. So tag, you guys are it. And I hope you have enjoyed this tag. I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so you're alerted anytime I upload a video. And share any videos that I have up if there's someone who you know who would find any interest in them. You can also follow me on the social medias. There's my Instagram handle here. There is also the 2 Facebook groups that I am a part of. One is my own Recipes with Roy, and the other is Finding Our Way, WEIGH, that I am the co-admin on with the group's founder, Jennifer Lynn from the Jennifer Lynn channel, as well as Bree Coleman from Balancing Life with Bree. So that wrapped up another Tag Tuesday. So until the next time, bye.